English could be starting off with those men-at-arms, Mongols, fast feudal age, and they can get those Keshiks out really, really quickly with their good food economy. Start, and there we go. Our game number one just beginning. DeMu versus Anotand. Here we go.
Yeah, we can see Anotand already just V-lining across the map with the scout, wants to get, some knowledge of what DeMu has in mind, and immediately goes for feudal age for both of these players. It's the Deerstones as well as the Council Hall.
Yeah, Deerstone's Council Hall makes sense. Makes sense. Let's look at the markets. The markets aren't that badly positioned. Actually, it's a little bit annoying, right? They're forward, they're not in the corner, so going for trade here definitely would be easier for the English to deny compared to other maps where the generation has the markets in the corner. So trade very likely not gonna be happening here this time around, at least not early on. Deerstones at the same time, like you're boosting the movement speed of so many additional villagers that you get with Empire Wars. You get an immediate return from that. So your economy immediately becomes better, and we already have the stable out. So Anotand definitely looking to play this one really, really aggressively here early on.
Yeah, it seems like both of the, as you mentioned with the Deerstones, it's one of those that the economic boost is much higher right off the bat compared to trying to start trade. It has this long-term payoff, and we're already seeing how aggressive DeMu's planning on being. Has double barracks being dropped as well to pair with the Council Hall.
And now we can look at the unit production queue. Longbowmen in the queue, Keshiks in the queue, Archers in the queue. These players aren't joking around. They're playing aggressively straight off the bat. Wheelbarrow coming in for both players. DeMu also getting that double broad axe. Means this wooden come is going to be looking good there. Another archery range also coming up here for Anotand. This one in range of the Uwu, so it's going to be able to buff up the production there. Boost it with the double production.
Yeah. I feel like Wheelbarrow is one of those investments we've seen just early invested into when it comes to Empire Wars, and good reason being is just the, again, immediate kind of payoff with all of the villagers. DeMu trying to get some vision, trying to get some scouting as well, just seeing what Anotand has in store, and gonna be Keshiks and good old archers versus those longbow spears.
Anotand already has a really good mass out with that out production. We now see some men-at-arms also in the queue for DeMu, but Anotand is going to have the perfect response to that with this Kashik. So I feel like actually English might be in a little bit of trouble here when it comes to the composition of the units that we're going to be seeing. And we see DeMu literally getting every single economic upgrade right now. So much sense. You have so many additional villagers at the start. Every single economic upgrade is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, just early investment into those economic techs over there. And over on the other side, Anotand, he is not only getting the double broadaxe, he is going ahead and getting some of those blacksmith techs as well.
Blacksmith techs very important for those longbowmen. They already get an increase to their base damage, so getting that extra little bit of damage in, it's gonna help a lot, especially against units like those Keshiks. Here we go. Army from DeMu is starting to push forward a little bit, but I'm scared if I was DeMu right now, because this army from DeMu, it's not as strong as Anotand's army here, and if Anotand finds this, he could reduce DeMu's army to basically 0 if he just steps out and throws down like a movement speed arrow.
Yeah, you said if Anotand finds this, he has his con, he scouts it out perfectly, and this is always such a scared spot when you're the English player. You want to move out, you kind of want to be aggressive when you are investing in the military, but you have a very immobile army that can get punished very heavily, and Anotand has the numbers to punish it, and DeMu is not looking to be stepping into a good position.
Yeah, just a question if Anotand is able to close the gap here. The army from DeMu is slower. The English, they're archers, they're longbows. They don't move as fast as normal archers. And here we go. Archer mass from Anotand, catching up, already killing some of the reinforcements. DeMu is trying to fall back. Is Anotand going to be able to cut off the escape route, though? Doesn't look like it. Looks like Anotand is actually falling back for now.
Yeah, seems like he's just kind of taking that little bit of a win for now. Just doesn't want to overstep himself. Just how I just mentioned how immobile DeMu's army is. All of those archers quite immobile, but look at the number that he has already. And it's not like DeMu has Castle Age resources in the bank or anything. It's just he's investing into some other units that might not be the most useful spot right now.
Yeah, he is investing into men-at-arms right now, and men-at-arms, I mean, in low numbers, they don't really do too well. But DeMu already adding that additional farm cluster right now is going to boost up his food income significantly. And with that, if he gets to a position where he can comfortably pump out men-at-arms consistently, then eventually he'll get into a position to take these fights. But right now, Anotand's army is still looking really strong, roughly 600 additional army value compared to what DeMu has out on the field. DeMu still being the more aggressive player, though, pushing out, and this could hurt him. This could hurt him. Anotand now also apparently going for some raids here with a couple of Keshiks. I think just the archers here with the reinforcement from Anotand might just be enough to completely defend this. DeMu pushing forwards.
Yeah, Keshiks looks like they're circling back around. We did see a trader right there from Anotand. He has dropped a market in the corner, so Deerstone's into this trade is where the kind of or meta has shifted to here for the Mongols. And now we're seeing the engagement start to happen. Archers trying to step up, Keshiks on either side right now, and it looks like DeMu having to take this fight.
Yeah, he has to take this fight, but this is not a good fight for him to take. Anotand kind of surrounded him here with the cavalry. And now if the movement speed arrow comes in, he's going to be able to catch up. There we go, movement speed arrow coming in. Archers closing the gap here, getting a lot of shots in, and DeMu's army is rapidly shrinking now.
Yeah, and I love Anotand splitting into two different Keshik control groups so the spears aren't easily able to just close the gap. And if they do, there's a lot that are falling because of those 36 archers that are constantly just A-moving, getting into line formation, wants more damage to come down throughout this fight.
Reinforcements now catching up to Demu's main army. He did lose a lot of units there. Destruction value is looking good for Anotand. Loses some archers here on the retreat, but overall still took a really good trade here early on. Was able to keep the mass a little bit contained from DeMu. DeMu, he now has a good amount of men-at-arms out on the field. Still, Anotand, good amount of Keshiks as well. DeMu is not backing off. He's still pushing forward. I'm not sure how well this is going to go for him here in the long run, but he's definitely playing this one very aggressively. I can respect that.
Yeah, the scared part is yeah, that men-at-arms number is high, but the spearman number is starting to shrink, and that also hurts him at home. If any of those Keshiks roam around, go for some raids, it's going to be very hard to defend that with only longbows and men-at-arms that are just barely producing.
Yeah, and especially when DeMu pushes into the base of Anotand, we got the Yamara here on those units. The one trader that was produced does now go down. But yeah, if DeMu goes in, like, into the base from Anotand, all these archers, they're going to get even faster. They're going to be able to retreat faster, attack faster. And attack faster looks to be the goal of Anotand here. Now he's starting to attack. Catching of reinforcements, costly reinforcements. There were men-at-arms there as well that just went down. And destruction value. Not a big difference compared to earlier. DeMu was also able to kill a couple of units from Anotand there.
Keshik goes down with that one spearman that was in reinforcements and kind of regrouping back up, but this does force DeMu's main mass back. It's so hard to kind of continually keep your units grouped on up, and those Keshiks trade so well against men-at-arms in low numbers, just taking no damage, healing up the little bits that the men-at-arms do.
And a fight, there we go, big fight happening now. Anotand finding the units here from DeMu. We're trying to kite back, but now the Keshiks are closing the gap, and Anotand forcing DeMu to commit to this fight now. Kiting back.
Keshiks, though, they're just diving in on the frontline mass. There's still 8 spears or so, but they're not all grouped up in this fight. And all of this time, Anotand's archers just go untouched, non-stop peppering that frontline mass. Keshiks still engaging, not too many spears left here. And Anotand, he just has the numbers, has the mass, and will win this frontline mass that DeMu has no longer.
Men-at-arms, really good against those archers, but one men-at-arm is still no match for 60 arrows peppering them.
Anotand still has that movement speed bonus for himself, so can continually kind of move up here or just play the defensive game, because it does seem like DeMu is the one who is trying to be the aggressor and continually failing at being the aggressor.
He has no vision right now. There's no scout here. DeMu's kind of blind, but still pushing him, but the Khan goes down. Anotand not calling the GG yet, though. Additional farm cluster has been set up, and I mean, slowly but surely, the English food economy is going to start to scale better here. Anotand is on the deer, but that it's starting to also force a little bit of idle time, right? Like the villagers from Anotand, they have to move out, they have to build the gur, or have to wait for the gur to set up. Meanwhile, DeMu's food economy, it's looking really, really strong right now.
Yeah, able to just never stop this production on the English side due to that farming economy, whereas you mentioned Anotand has to transition to other food resources. DeMu, even bringing some villagers forward, wants to extend that network of castles out forward where all of these fights have been going on, but Anotand not going to let that happen. Keshik still pushing back forward. Archer mass still in the 50, at the good old number 50 range already.
Yeah, and I like that play from Anotand, also using his additional scout here. Not sure if he lost that one, if he remade that one, but while the Khan is down, he's going to be using that additional scout here in order to check out the army here from DeMu. Does go a little bit too close. So actually, we do see the Falcon here. It's a rare thing when we see the Falcon being used by a normal scout, and there we go. Falcon does tell Anotand everything he needs to know now about the army composition from his opponent. The Keshiks coming in from the side.
I think he sees that spearman number being only at 3 and just says, I can just take this fight. I can just move forward with the archers. Not too many men-at-arms that matter when you have this many archers, when you have this many units. Denying network of castles extension yet again. Longbow's having to fall back, and it's, again, this kind of standoff here in the middle, but does look like DeMu is actually starting to have the numbers here. Anotand falling back.
Yeah, the food economy, that's it. The food economy here from the English means that DeMu is able to pump out pretty much like 10 men-at-arms per minute here. And eventually it's gonna be enough. He's already at 50 men-at-arms out on the field. And at some point, Anotand is just, the archers themselves, they're just not gonna be enough here. I feel like Anotand needs to look for a tech up here at some point in time, but it's so difficult when DeMu just keeps being the aggressor, even though for like quite a while, it felt like it was just some faint aggression. But now he actually has the military lead, and this fight is not good for Anotand.
Yeah, it does use the con arrow there, but the longbows, they're in the network of castles range now, and this makes things so much more difficult. Not only does Anotand need the numbers, he needs a lot more numbers than DeMu on the other side, and DeMu using that range continually, just picking and prodding at those archers that now have just been falling in number rather than raising.
And at this point, Anotand, he also doesn't have the Yamara here in the front of his base. No additional outpost has come up, so his units here really slow at the moment in order to like catch up. And with that, the English, they still have the attack range advantage here with the longbowmen. Anotand now has less archers than DeMu has longbowmen.
Yeah, 7 Keshiks in queue, just not enough out on the field, having to transition to a different wood line, stepping up throughout this fight as well. But as you mentioned, he doesn't have the numbers to do this, so will lose this mass forward. And I don't know how you hold your base as the Mongols when the English is knocking on the doorstep.
Yeah, Anotand, he's now trying to mass up Keshiks, but Keshiks, they're not that quickly produced, and it's going to take a while for him to get these 8 Keshiks out that he has in queue at the moment. And even when he gets them out, the mass from DeMu just looks so solid right now. I don't think that with 8 Keshiks it's going to be enough. And now DeMu actually switching back into Spearman as well. He's going to be ready for the switch happening.
Yeah, I feel like Anotand did have the right idea at the beginning, had the timing. We saw some trades go well early, but he never really closed the gap, never really was able to finish off the rest of DeMu's army. And now DeMu, he's getting to that unstoppable English ball force, men-at-arms number climbing, and longbows have gotten to 52, and just Anotand's army isn't there yet. Keshiks are in production, not popping out fast enough. Trade is getting denied, and he does not have that farming boom resource like the English.
Yeah, there's enough longbowmen now to two-shot these Keshiks, and with that, Anotand, he's not going to be able to build up a big enough mass here in order to fight this back. It's 70 military compared to 28 right now. And DeMu, he smells blood in the water. He's just going to keep pushing in further and further, outpost by outpost. He's still playing this super safe, though. Every single engagement that he takes, he's going to use the longbows to just make sure that he's at max range or as much range as possible. And there we go. Anotand, he has to bail out. This game is going to get taken by DeMu.
Game number 1 going over DeMu's way. And as you mentioned, it's not that long English boom anymore. It was the early, basically feudal, well, it was feudal aggression the whole time, just nonstop unit production.
Exactly, just non-stop unit production and the farm transition behind all of that at the same time. The English, just with those cheap farms, being able to transition so nicely. I mean, at the beginning, it looked like DeMu had just way too little military mass out, but still played really aggressively. And Anotand just missing that timing. Look at that first engagement looking really nice there. DeMu losing so much military force, but the follow-up just kind of wasn't there. And we see the climb after that. DeMu's military just replenishing immediately. And I feel like that's probably that little window that Anotand had to go for his own food transition, where he had to move villagers out to the deer.
Right. I felt like he was about, like, there was that time you even said DeMu was moving up without a scout, and Anotand had the numbers, had the con on his side, and I felt like could have closed out a bigger mass of DeMu's, maybe pushed forward, got some outposts, expanded that Yam network, but was not able to get that first game going his way. And as we saw, DeMu took it. But now we're seeing the matchup for game number 2. It's Kawasan. We're seeing Mongols again, but this time it's going to be auto paired with it.
Ottoman versus Mongols. That's interesting. I mean, maybe we'll see a Grand Galley. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. If we could see a Grand Galley here coming out from the Ottomans. Same time, Mongols, they also are really good on these hybrid maps because they get that stone pretty much for free initially with their Uvu. Go for a dog straight into an emplacement on them. That makes it pretty easy for them early on to take water control. It will be interesting to see what exactly they'll be going for. Ottomans, they start with their military school, so mass spearmen also be in play in order to deny some of that water play.
Yeah, I definitely think it's kind of one of these that a lot of civilizations will play a lot different in the Empire Wars compared to just regular solo play, but I still think this one might play out in a similar sense and fashion. You respect the Ottomans military school early. You have to respect the potential barracks drop to follow and a lot more spearmen to come, as well as just being able to feudal age while all of this pressure is going on.
Exactly. I mean, Empire Wars, it's also easier to like greed into feudal age, so you could get a feudal age really early on and then just defend the dock with a galley or with a dhow, for example. Don't necessarily need to immediately go for military units, but eventually definitely will have to go for that because it's also easier for your opponent to switch off water into military units and just immediately apply pressure to your land based economy. Overall, I think that like hybrid maps in Empire Wars are just much more dynamic than a normal play. Like it's not like a player commits to one thing only. The transitions between water and land play just are so much more seamlessly.
Yep, you summed that up perfectly, but now we are in game number 2. Anotand as the Ottomans in the red, DeMu as the Mongols in the color blue.
Exactly, and both players immediately sending their scouts forward, trying to get all the information on the map. We do have these 2 pawns here, as Kawas intends to spawn, and there we go. Dock coming up for DeMu immediately here. Looks like he's also sending another villager over to the second pond. So it looks like both players are immediately dropping docks on each pond. This is going to be a little bit cheaper here for Anton, playing as the Ottomans. His docks only cost 100 wood compared to 150 wood. DeMu, on the other hand side, playing as the Mongols, means that he will not have to spend any wood on stuff like houses. So overall, pretty even here when it comes to the resource investment.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, the feudal ages are immediately going to be able to be dropped. And the cool thing about the Mongols, especially on this map, is once you get a emplacement in your dock, it almost denies all of the water on the other side. But right off the bat, look at Anotand, able to pull the scout able to pull the villager with the shiv, and he is delaying this dock for a good bit. Question is will the spearman get across in time?
Well, first spearman is out. It's gonna make its way immediately over here, and this means that DeMu, he's gonna have a tough time getting that dock up on that second pond, and this is gonna give Anotand an immediate advantage, having access to 2 of these ponds while DeMu's only on 1.
Yeah, that definitely can create a huge bonus as the course of the game continues to expand, continues to grow and play out. Deerstone's getting pretty close to finishing, so let's see what Feudal Age is going to entail for DeMu.
Deerstone's coming in now. Do see that lovely double pastures here that Mongols do spawn with. The first one to hit the Feudal Age should already have the resources for his first emplacement, should he choose to opt into one. Goes for a second dock on that pond. Anotand already has his 2 docks up there.
The villager pulling the shiv out again, doing a good amount of damage, but DeMu does have a second villager over here and keeps the other one alive, pulling it back home to safety.
Yeah, it looks like the spearman from Anotand was a little bit out of position there, wasn't able to deny that dock in time, and that dock is going to go up, even has a galley now to defend the villager here.
Yeah, it will be a war on this pond, though, for sure. That spearman's there. Anotand has to pull back his fishing boats, but should be having a galley of his own pop out any second now.
And look at that. Immediate emplacement coming out here for DeMu with that dock that he just dropped. That's going to immediately deny all the fishing that Anotand has on that pond. And he already invested 2 fishing ships, right? So immediately kind of denying that 150 wood investment from Anotand. Anotand is uncontested on the other pond. But I feel like it's going to be tough. Like, I feel like he probably has to invest into something at least here. At the very least in placements, in order to also make it hard for DeMu to just get his own stuff going on that one pond there.
Yeah, he is at 2 docks to 1, so technically could be able to try to kind of deny his side. Emplacement, though, makes it difficult until the spearman number climbs to potentially try to burn that down. But again, the galleys just make it impossible for the spears to step up there.
Double galley as well. It's going to be a lot of arrow fire AoE hailing down on these spearmen, so definitely have to be careful with that. I think an option could be to go for a ram here, just because the ram, it's not going to be affected really by the archer ship fire. We do see DeMu going into some of his own archers now, so ram would actually be perfect here for Anotand.
Yeah, just how Anotand went for archers last game. That is what DeMu's transition into. Counters out those initial spears that are bound to come out for the Ottomans. My question is when does Anotand make that swap on the military schools over to a different unit, over to start making maybe Sipahi or a different another unit out on the field other than spears?
I think just about after this next spearman, he does have a scout in the base of DeMu, so he should know that archers is going to be the follow-up play. And exactly, now we do see that Sipahi in the queue. Still one spear in the queue. Actually, did Anotand drop a stable, or is that the potential second military school that he's got in his base right now? Let's take a look at Anotand's base here right now. See what the Ottoman has in store for us, whether that is the second military school.
Oh, Anotand does have to move out onto the deer. We might see a villager go down to the Khan. Just proves to be so pesky and annoying over the course of the game. It's so hard to close the gap. As I say that, the villager does end up going down.
All right. Can we take a quick look at Anotand's base, see if he did invest into a military school? He has only one military school, but added 2 stables in. All right, so that's where the spy are going to be coming from here.
And is heavier onto that stone now, so could either be going into emplacements or going into those military schools in just a bit. But the first dock is on fire on Anotand's side. Well, I guess I should say DeMu's side now that he has had control of that pond for a good while.
Even though Anotand has complete uncontested control over the topside pond, it looks like DeMu actually invested more into fishing ships so far. He does have a higher eco count at the moment.
Yeah, Anotand, though, his military numbers starting to climb, and there's currently nothing out on the field that can really deal with Sipahi well. And Sipahi, such a strong unit, much better than those horsemen, at taking out smaller groups of archers or even bigger groups of archers. But DeMu behind this, dropping the curl tie.
So Age-Up gonna be coming in here soon for DeMu, and with that, I mean, at this timing right now, with the Spearman still being out, I could see a play for either upgraded archers or men-at-arms potentially. And he's getting the armor upgrade, the range armor upgrade, which makes me think that it's gonna be men-at-arms.
Yeah, the thing is Anotand's not too far behind it with his own castle age. You can see the resources in the bank, but it does look like another barracks is being dropped on DeMu's side. I feel like Ottomans, though, they're so quick to transition to other units, you know, being able to change those military schools over to crossbows and having the cheaper production buildings.
Sipahi might be able to catch up to the archers here. Double archer ships from DeMu are making their way over. Should be enough to force the Sipahi to fall back, but no, Sipahi actually committing here. Sipahi are committing, and the archers are getting decimated.
Yeah, like we were talking.
Transport ship!
A transport ships comes out to keep the archers alive, and that is a play that I never would have guessed. But behind this distraction, DeMu is up, Anotand not too far behind it.
The transport ship evacuating the remaining couple archers in the Khan just in time before they do go down. Mehmet Imperial Armory coming in for Anotand. With that, both players are gonna be in the Castle Age. DeMu doesn't have any men-at-arms in queue. Looks like it's just gonna be Spearmen and Archers. Archer upgrade has not been queued yet, though.
Yeah, so does look like, is that siege engineering or going to be advanced siege engineering? Either way, DeMu going to be planning. It is the improved one, so he can build those mangoes out on the field if need be. But I think it might just be rams for now to get this dock out of the way here in the south.
He does have some good amount of wood in the bank right now, so could definitely just be a ram in order to get that dock away. Then again, like his fishing ships right now, they're not in range of the emplacements, I believe. Look at that. It looks like Anotand also invested into 2 additional military schools here behind all of this. So he's also looking good there with his Ottoman military scaling. Kurultai, though, could potentially be the game changer. Right now, Anotand, he's still ahead when it comes to the army count and the army value. But the Kurultai boosts up all the units here from DeMu.
Yeah, Anotand, though, he should be able to get good vision of this military with the dock that he has up forward. And so now he knows exactly what to expect. He was a little bit low on the ranged mass numbers, but the Sipahi, the knight that he has out and knights that he's going to start making will prove to be annoying and a big problem.
Looks like now DeMu is going to be able to take down that dock here completely. Quite sure yet what Anotand is making. He is making some crossbows, but DeMu doesn't have any units that get countered by crossbows. So maybe just Anotand thinking that DeMu is going to go for like a men-at-arm timing. DeMu kind of like finessing the situation here, not making a single men-at-arms. And Anotand, he's continually investing into Sipahi and Knights. DeMu has 17 Spearmen.
Yeah, it really is one of those where if you're scouting out the army on DeMu's side, it's just make archers and you win. It trades well against all of the other units on the other side. And Ottomans, their civilization, they can mass up archers quite well, just transitioning those military schools onto it and having the extra bonuses from their meta.
Improved siege engineering, immediately 2 Springles out on the field. So as soon as that Banganel is going to come out, DeMu has a response to that. And still eco numbers. DeMu, sure, he killed a couple of fishing ships, but he's almost 10 eco numbers ahead. He's getting a really, really good income right now.
Yep, we're starting to see those military numbers basically be even. The Mangonel that's going to come out from the MIA immediately neutralized, as you mentioned, those Springalds that got built out on the field. Anotand had to transition to a different gold that's 4 steps away from his original gold. Very, very scary for him, especially as this is essentially in Kurultai range now.
Look at that. Anotand is now investing into men-at-arms while DeMu just started making crossbows. I feel like DeMu in this one is just always 1 step ahead when it comes to the army composition. Sure, Anotand, pretty much equal numbers, a little bit further ahead in the army value. But if I'm looking at the composition right now, I'm definitely favoring DeMu, and DeMu has the Kurultai set up in front of Anotand's base. Look at that. Villagers, they've been found out by the scout. DeMu knows that these villagers are just running around. They're also getting some bounty here now. This is looking really, really strong for DeMu.
Yeah, Anotand has nowhere to go gather gold from. The gold over there in the south, it's near the water. It's near those galleys. The gold in the west, it's where DeMu's main military is. So what does Anotand have to do? Kills out some of the reinforcing units, takes some of the pressure off of him, and trying to relocate all the way to the east.
It's gonna be tough at the same time. DeMu is starting to push into the base from Anotand here. Units pushing forward, rams are being built, and with that, a static push is going to start happening here. Lots of cavalry out though from Anotand, looking to kill reinforcement, but it's a lot of spearmen still in queue here. And DeMu, he's just going to be running back.
Yeah, it's always so nice when you start getting a couple rams out as the Mongols, because it's so much better for them, as every building taken down is extra resources in the bank. But Anotand diving the main Mongol base, diving the wood line, not too many units here to defend, plenty of Sipahi, a few knights there into the mix, but more reinforcing units pop out of the production. And DeMu not really too worried here, just now pulling the villagers back from the wood line though.
I think he didn't notice. There were a couple of Sipahi and knights that were just killing villagers there. And now the eco count is pretty much even. And behind that, Anotand is causing significant amount of idle time in DeMu space. I feel like Anotand is kind of equalizing right now.
Yeah, still causing havoc, still causing mayhem, and massing up behind us. Remember, those military schools, they're always working, even if you got villagers idled, and those villagers were able to relocate onto the gold into the east. So Anotand is not too worried in regards to his base, and did put down a significant amount of damage, and is continuing this damage, finding the berries in the backside.
Yeah, the raids from Anotand right now looking really strong. I mean, DeMu is still pushing out here. But Anotand, I mean, he doesn't have anything to get rid of the Springles with right now, but just the pure army mass is looking good for him. It's looking in a position where he could almost contest this. Like, even if he loses his mangonels, if he gets a single shot off, I think he could do enough damage to potentially win the fight. And now DeMu's actually backing back off right now.
Yeah, and look at the unit that Anotand's finally transitioning into, starting to mass up the archer numbers. The men-at-arms numbers is climbing fast. It's already at more than not more than double digits, but in the double digits. And the crossbow numbers is not on the other side for DeMu. So we saw how kind of devastating that was a game prior, and Anotand is now making the correct army transitions.
Yeah, he also just redeemed the Janissary company, Vizier Point. Look at that DeMu. He's lost so many villagers this game. 18 villagers have gone down, and now suddenly Anotand is leading in the eco count. DeMu, he's still making more and more Springles right now, just afraid of the siege mass from the Ottomans, knowing that that is pretty much like the main way that he could lose his army potentially here. But I feel like the military count itself might be enough to win this fight here for Anotand. Look at that fight about to happen here. Kurultai getting deployed with the Kurultai. It's the best fight that DeMu could possibly take here. Springles are making their way forward though.
Mangonel still able to get a few decent shots on, even with that many Springles. Spears stepping up, and there are plenty of spears, but Anotand has the numbers, choosing to take the fight. Springles are stepping up. Mangonels get taken down, but the Kurultai, it provides so much of a bonus, but I just don't think it's going to be enough here, as the Ottoman mass and the defenders bonus, all the productions right here front and forward, and Anotand takes game number 2.
Man, what a turnaround. That was absolutely insane. Anotand, from position of weakness, suddenly coming in with the raid, taking the fight back to the Mongol base, getting the economic advantage back, and then, after just waiting so patiently in his main base, taking a really, really significant fight there, wins game number 2, and with that, we're at a 1-1 right now.
God, look at that devastation on that villager count in the woodline in DeMu. He just knew he wasn't going to be able to recover from that. When you're playing against Ottomans and you don't have the eco lead, it's that much worse, because you know they're having free military production as well.
Yeah, that military graph, it kind of tells the story, right? It was kind of like this arms race there, that DeMu was ahead for a long time. And then suddenly Anotand just manages to buy himself enough time, win the arms race, then take a fight, and cleans up DeMu's military there. I feel like DeMu he made so many Springles, right? Like, he made 5 Springles there at the end. Anotand kind of like stopped caring about siege. Like, Anotand never invested anything into siege. It was all free units that he got from his landmark. I feel like if DeMu maybe just went for his own mangoes there, at least like instead of the 5th Springald, he probably would have had at least a better chance there, since suddenly it was a lot of ranged units in Anotand's army as well.
Yeah, and it's not like those Springles should make those mangonels useless, but the problem is the mangonels each still got a decent fire off into that bigger mass that DeMu had. So yes, there was a heavy investment. It did counter out the unit it was supposed to, but the damage had already been done, and Anotand was able to clean up the rest of the army and clean up DeMu's game number 2. But the third game here is now in front of us. It's Basin, and it's Chinese versus Mali.
That is an interesting one. Malians versus China. It can be tough. It can be tough depending on the unit composition. I feel like if China isn't able to like get out a lot of units before Malians kind of like start constricting the Chinese economy, then can like get a little bit tough for them. I think if China is able to like survive the early onslaught and get their scaling in with like a 2TC song, even the cow boom isn't going to be able to like save the Malians there. I think China can just scale better, even compared to like a cow boom.
Yeah, it's always so interesting watching Mali games, especially against booming civilizations where you're like, oh, Mali's down 30 villagers. They're in a bad situation. And Mali's like, nope, I'm not. I'm fine. This is where I want to be. I have my cows behind me, my all my kind of free resources that are kind of just accruing into the bank from those cows, from those pit mines. And the resource count, it's just through the roof when that ends up happening.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm Mali. I'm 30 villages behind, but I still have more food than you, and that kind of spells the whole story out there. And yeah, it's just gonna be roughly a minute, and then we're gonna be going into our game number 3. It's gonna be an exciting one. Basin, Malians in China. Something I don't think we've seen a lot of could be Malian trade boom with like the Saharan trade network as like a counter. Just China, they take a while to get online. Maybe use that window as the Malians, get like your own kind of economic scaling going on early.
Yeah. I could see the Saharan trade network for sure, but the main reason being is I've seen Chinese start with the barracks opening almost actually I think every single time I've seen this matchup in Empire Wars to try to put pressure onto those pit mine, onto those houses around it. So let's see if DeMu has the same plan, forces out the trade network, or if it's just going to be the Mansa Quarry. But now we're into game number 3 of this tied series here, and it will end up being Basin.
And here we go. Game number 3, starting right now. We got Anotand playing in the color red as the Malians on the opposite side. We got DeMu playing as the Chinese, and we're here on Basin, and we immediately see a production building getting dropped by Anotand. He does it with all of his gold villagers, which makes sense. You don't really need to gather up a whole lot of gold with Malians, since you do immediately start up with a pit mine that is completely surrounded with houses, so you already have like a good amount of gold income.
Yeah, and so he won't even have to worry about dropping that trade network. I would expect the Mansa Quarry because these Donzos, they're going to counteract any of the spears coming out from DeMu, but this isn't just going to be the spears. This is going to be a full-on Chinese outpost rush with spears as well. He's already got 3 out, so I believe he might be kind of supervising that barracks potentially.
Yeah, must be supervising. You do start with 2 Imperial officials here as the Chinese on Empire Wars, and look at that. This is going to be really, really strong opening here for DeMu, because look at the map generation. Both of the golds here right now for Anotand, they're both forward. Dropping a Barbican here would be an amazing opening position for DeMu.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, fully denying Mali from gold could make this game over much sooner than we wanted it to be. Anotand looked like he was ready to pull those vills. He's got plenty of vills on the gold to do it. So even though DeMu might have the spearman number, he doesn't have the vill number, and the first villager for the Chinese side actually goes down. The shivs are already pulled out. The shivs are pulled out for Anotand, and DeMu, he's already down 1. It's not happening.
Yeah, not just because DeMu doesn't have enough villagers here, it's also, or enough spearmen, it's because he doesn't have enough food. He doesn't have the resources to go up right now to the feudal age.
A big oversight here by DeMu. Anotand, they're taking the fight, committing onto this outpost, doesn't care about any damage being done, loses a few Donzos, maybe 1 or 2, loses a scout, but this is a huge win as the idle time.
We see it!
There it
Let's
is.
go. Saharan Trade Network. Now there's a chance for Anotand, but it's like DeMu, he doesn't think it's over yet. He doesn't think his aggression pushes over here. Pulls 3 additional villagers. It's an arms race. We see a Barbican of the Sun being built by 7 villagers versus a Saharan Trade Network being built by 19. But there's an outpost there as well. What is happening here?
This is absolutely wild off the start. The Donzo get pulled over to the Chinese villagers. The spears, they're just committing onto the Mali villagers, trying to micro the low ones back. The Chinese villagers, there's not that many though.
It's not many indeed. The Donzos are starting to take them out. It's not going up. The last villager. Oh no.
It's still getting built. I think there's one left. Jump inside. Can he
No
make
way.
the trade network
No way.
aggro it?
Oh, no, what?
Oh, it
it's a down Barbican. That's 99.9%. No
It just
way.
gets some torch damage on it. You fully deny this now. You basically win the game.
It's over. It's over. Down Barbican. There's no way back. High villager difference right now as well behind all of this. He's pulling more villagers. He's pulling 3 additional villagers here.
You can't get there though. The trade network's up. I have too much. Anotand has too much vision of this.
It's
He
already
jumps inside
half
the
HP.
trade network. There's no way.
The scout is
Anotand
going to see
pulling
the
scout.
villagers.
And there it is. Make a couple more Donzo. Push your Donzo on out. Have villagers inside the trade network.
Make a wall in the Barbican. There are so many options. But he's pulling the boar on them as well. Oh, but it's gonna go up, right? It's actually gonna go up. Anotand didn't deny this. It's going up. Only 3 villagers and it's going up.
No. That being said, the damage that has already been done is massive. And look at how close the Barbican is to burning. It's so easy to actually deny and take down.
It's gonna be an immediate siege engineering upgrade into a single ram, and like there's no way that DeMu is gonna be able to keep that Barbican alive here. Look at that siege engineering immediately in queue. What a game! This is some this is some incredible attempted cheese here.
How many villagers do you start with in Empire Wars? Because I think DeMu is at the same villagers that he started with.
Oh no, it feels like it was an attempt. There was an attempt for sure. And he's also going for the cattle boom at the same time. Looks like DeMu is now trying to go for a second TC. Oh, he lost a villager trying to get them out of the Barbican as well. Ah, that hurts.
He is able to escape with one and a little under half health. The boar, it took a little turn, but fortunately for DeMu, no aggro was already happened there. He again is investing into these eco techs due to the number of villagers you have, and obviously supervision helps compound this. And I'm not even sure if he needs rams. I feel like the Barbican just going to be slow burnt here from the 2 Donzos inside the Saharan Trade Network. But
Yeah,
he does drop the ram.
It would take a while. Yeah, ram is getting dropped now, and I mean there's no way for DeMu to torch that just because he also has like 2 outposts next to it, so any villagers trying to torch that would immediately get taken down. Anotand looking in a really good spot right now. He's at 34 villagers, a 7 villager lead. On top of that, 2 pit mines, which equal out, because there's not a lot of houses on the second one, to roughly like 4 additional villagers. So, and with the cattle as well, he's at a significant eco advantage right now.
Yeah, well, just I remember casting this the other week, and it was the villager outpost rush, not the Barbican rush, but it was into 2 TC Song Dynasty, and it was all like pre 4 or 5 minutes still. We're sitting here at 6 minutes and some change. DeMu hasn't had a second TC up, is at a huge deficit against Anotand's villager number, and as you just mentioned, all those extra passive resources Anotand has. This is all in Anotand's favor right now, and just it's all that tempo on his side and could have a huge timing attack.
Yeah, exactly. Now DeMu, he's going for that second TC. He's putting it very far forward right now. Oh no. It is a very far forward second TC, and Anotand already has a ram.
Just drop a second ram and look at the military numbers he has. What unit is the best unit for diving TCs? It's going to be that javelin thrower. And it's going to be at the point where those javs can essentially just go sit under the secondary TC, help with that ram at the sieging of it, and maybe even deny it before DeMu can get the villager lead.
this is gonna hurt a lot. Also, because he plays the TC there, he's not gonna be able to supervise the gathering from the deer. Now, you might think it's not a lot of resource that you're missing out on. It's roughly 600. It's roughly 600 resource that you're losing out on when you're not supervising your deer. And it makes a big difference. It's like 500 food, 600 gold, 100 gold.
Yeah,
and especially on a map like this for the Chinese, where they need all the food that they can get, it can hurt you quite a bit in the long run. But what's going to hurt him more is potentially losing that TC.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. It forces that earlier granary transition. DeMu, he scouts out the ram, which he already knew about, but he scouts out the military that's just running across the map, has to jump inside the TC already. And Anotand, I think he's going to be ready for an all-in here in just a little bit, as we can already see how devastating the military numbers are favoring him already.
Oh no, DeMu, I feel for him right now. He's making Jugunu, but he's about to see just how badly Jugunu work with javelin throwers. Jugunu have the same movement speed as longbowmen, but they have way less range. Jugunu get countered till the end of time by the javelins, just kited for eternity. Ram is coming out now. It's backing off for now. I think Anotand would be better off just waiting for one more ram. Actually, he's putting the units inside the ram.
Oh, I love this. And it's not the jabs inside the ram, it's the Donzo specifically. So if any of those villagers try to start burning down the rim, the Donzo's the perfect one to close that out. And the jabs, they can actually still continue to fire down on the Chooks as they step up.
Look at that, just coming out for a little bit of a hit there, walking back again.
Looks like Anotand's still not choosing to full commit to this. Javelin number just now at the point where I think they can one-shot those Chooks, so maybe that's just what he was waiting for, a few more of these numbers to climb on up. But DeMu, he's slowly stabilizing this. He's getting those upgrades, getting those techs involved, and has, 5 villager lead now, slowly starting to build that over time.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Like, Anotand could definitely play this one a little bit more aggressive right now, just considering how far ahead he still is. Now, sure, we said villager lead right now for DeMu. Malians with the pit mines, with the cattle. I think, yeah, Malians is probably ahead right now. We look at the income right now, resource-wise, it's pretty even. But with the military out on the field just being so much stronger for Anotand, it's going to be really, really tough for DeMu to hold. Now the ram is finally pushing in. I still would have liked to see a second ram, but it looks like Anotand's just going straight up for castle right now.
Yeah, and I love how he's kind of making DeMu think he's doing this all in. So DeMu's having to produce units. He's not able to just kind of chill up. He's not able to go up to Castle Age himself. He has to continue to respect this push from Anotand. Jabs actually step up, hitting the wood line, going for an Imperial official, getting one Imperial official. DeMu getting the surround, I believe, not quite on the javelin throwers, forcing Anotand on out, but the Grand Fulani Corral halfway there, and this is Molly's comfort zone.
Yeah, now Malians, they already have 1,000 food per minute right now. It's going to get 500 more in just a little bit once that landmark comes in. Looks like DeMu is trying to kill a couple more of these javelins right now. You can see Shugunus, they don't really do a lot of damage to them. Javelins just able to outrun.
New Age begins, upgrades immediately coming on through. All of those cows just become that much stronger. DeMu going for some siege engineering of his own, so maybe he's trying to punish this Castle Age timing, going to be dropping some rams of his own, or maybe he just has more than enough gold than he knows what to do with.
Yeah, lots of gold in the bank right now, lots of potential Shugunu. Could also, like, really be in a good position then for his own Castle Age. He's not going to need to mine any additional gold. Still has some in the spare right now for upgrades then. I don't think he's going to be able to really commit to this push here. There's just still too many units out there from Anotand, and the army value is still in Anotand's favor. And all of these Jugunu just, they don't do enough against the javelins here and the front line.
And not only that, had a little bit of help from the Saharan trade network that was forced out earlier, and does look like Anotand, he's just pushing this on back. And this is one of those situations that Chinese will find themselves, if they fail this push, if they fail to defend this, well, now all of those resources out on the map, they lose. And these Chooks, they're constantly having to step back. Sofa is starting to be masked up, and this is where Anotand, he's going to take control with cavalry, with mobility.
DeMu, he wants to get the board there. Actually already killed it. Now he has to drop an Outpost there, but Outpost doesn't do a lot of damage to those Javelin throwers without any emplacements on them. And more Sofas coming in here. 5 in the queue, 6 in the queue, while there's already 6 out. And there's not enough Shuganu out here. DeMu's not going to be able to hold this. Has to fall back further, and GG gets called. The Barbican Rush. It killed. It killed a player. The Barbican Rush was a crucial decider here that killed one of the players in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so close to finishing early. And if it hadn't have been forced to pull 4 more villagers and having to build it and had it finished early, it would have still been a much different game, a closer game. DeMu still able to kind of hold for a bit, try to boom back up, but you could just see how far ahead all of Molly's timings were.
Yeah, and there's no food transition coming in for Mali as soon as they reach Castle Age. The food transition is pretty much already done. That's when they immediately start pumping out units like there's no tomorrow. And we see here military count. The Jugunuma is starting to climb up, but just the military superiority there from Anotand, the units, forcing DeMu all the way back into his base. And DeMu just kind of didn't have anywhere else to run. He had no food transition at all, so he would have to invest so much into food transition. If he gets pushed off the normal resources, the natural resources, there was just no way back for him in that game. And with that, Anotand actually taking the lead here in our set.
Yeah, Anotand would have been producing more Sofa than DeMu would have been producing spears, and those Sofa, they're not just, you know, horsemen. They're once they get that imported armor, they're essentially knights that are just as strong, just as mobile, can do whatever they want out and about. But for game number 4, we're actually seeing a map that I feel like was one of the ones we saw a lot in the early tournament days, and then it fell out of favor for a while. It's Mongolian Heights.
I'll have to say, I love Mongolian Heights. It's such a great map. Every time I see it, I really like it a lot. And seeing it again in Empire Wars with a little bit of a twist, it's going to be very interesting, very exciting to see just exactly what these players are going to be having planned here on Mongolian Heights. We're going to be seeing Roos from Anotand against Malians from DeMu. And DeMu, he is very good with Malians. And Roos overall, I think Roos kind of gets countered quite a bit by the Malians. So it's going to be interesting to see how exactly this game is going to be played out.
Yeah, I feel like Roos is another Civ that has underperformed a little bit when it comes to Empire Wars in compared to their normal 1v1 gameplay. But Mongolian Heights, they were always one of the favorite Civs out there in the olden days. Lots of wolves that were out and about. Obviously, there are some more openings on the canal now with the new changes that probably happened 8 months or so ago. But we are going into game number 4 now here in just a bit.
There we go. Game number 4. We're here on Mongolian Heights. We see Anotand playing in the color red as the Roos. On the opposite side of the canal, we got DeMu playing as the Malians. Look at that. Barracks immediately coming out here for DeMu.
Yeah, going out with those Donzos, and just as I kind of mentioned last game with Mali, almost every single time you will see pressure on those pit mines early. The reason we're not seeing it here is just because of how strong Roos is on the water, investing into the dock, investing into some of their fishing ships as well, to be able to just boom up with this eco that I will say, Roos fishing could maybe be the one thing I could think of that could outmatch that cow boom.
Yeah, let's not forget, in Empire Wars, the Roos start with the Wooden Fortress, so they immediately get the 20% increase on their wood gathering. So actually investing into these fishing ships early on is going to be really easy for them. Now we also see the Golden Gate being built. Once again, already have the Wooden Fortress. Don't need the Kremlin for the 20% increase to the wood gathering. So Golden Gate makes perfect sense here. We've seen it time and time again. Manza Quarry on the opposite side for DeMu. And he's got a second...
Oh! Okay. I think that's a benefit for the Roos, just because they're gonna make them out of their they're gonna have that extra 1, and now this kind of allows Anotand to secure up some extra hunt potentially.
Yeah, I mean, DeMu, he does have a couple of Dunzos out. These Dunzos are also gonna be able to kill the Huntables, kill the wolf already. The deer though, they're now going to go over the way of Anotand. And with that, I mean, it hurts them more vision-wise. Having only one scout now instead of two, it definitely does hurt. You're not able to like look at two separate things at the same time. You always have to move out and about between those two sides. It's gonna hurt him. Look at that second pit mine position there. That is, it's nice. It's like right next there. Not a lot of walking time for his villagers. But it's also not nice because it gives Anotand a really nice point to push onto if he wanted to attack. And the third gold is right there on that side as well. So if Anotand starts to push into DeMu space, he definitely won't have to look far for targets.
Yeah, and I love kind of what you were mentioning about that single scout earlier on. It makes it hard not only to scout out for vision, but early in the game here that we're at now, you have like this opportunity cost. Do you drop off extra sheep at home? Do you go see what's happening on Roos's side? Do you counter out the bounty that's happening? You have all these different choices to make, and it's very hard to do so. And Anotand looks like he knows that, trying to put some more pressure on the last scout that DeMu has.
Yeah, that's a lot of sheep with that scout as well. DeMu going back now to his TC. We see already a couple of fishing ships out, so DeMu now 6 eco ahead. Each of these fishing ships count as 2 economic units, as they do gather quite a bit faster than your normal fishing ships. Can we take a look at how much bounty Anotand has right now? I feel like we're probably at like the 300 mark here.
Yeah, 265.
265. Yeah, okay, that's not that far off. I think he's also just killed a wolf, so he should be at roughly 300 soon.
Yeah, and I love when you kind of have this extra bounty early on without investing too much into that, because not only will you be able to, you know, have his age up what we saw, you see these early techs happen so quickly already. It's the wheelbarrow, it's the double broad axe, it's the specialized pick as well, and I feel like we've just been seeing more and more of that when it comes to Empire Wars. Everyone investing so heavily into those eco techs early on.
Yeah, the eco-tech's just paying off so quickly here. And Anotand, once again, investing into a lot of archers, has a good military number here, good military focus from him. DeMu's still only having Donzos out right now. He invested a lot into the cattle ranches as well. Does he even have an archery range right now, I wonder?
Not sure if so, and it looked like he was making a transition with a significant amount of units, but then spotted out the archers, had to kind of rethink what he was doing. Looks just now dropping that archery range. There's archers on those villagers already, so even more delay on this range. The gold villagers here had a worry too, and this is an awful point to happen for DeMu. It's so much tempo that he's losing right now.
Yeah, a lot of tempos that he's losing, and I mean, it also takes a while. It takes a while for those javelin to be produced. They have longer creation time than archers. They have the same creation time as the crossbowmen. Now, second archery range gets dropped. Definitely is going to be needed. But look at that, Anotand already has 4 knights out.
4 knights. He's still massing up archers throughout all of this. It's the Roos old age 1 TC all in play. He's going to use the Golden Gate to help him have even more tempo throughout all of this. And where is DeMu gonna get gold from?
No gold income right now for him. Look at how much gold he invested into the cattle. He's got like 6 cattle sitting on top of the cattle ranch without any cattle ranches to go into right now.
Oh, awful point to find yourself in. We see some sheep getting stolen, it looks like, by Anotand, and immediately he drops the wooden fortress on the gold. He's planning on that full denial. DeMu still hasn't rallied his villagers to another spot from this mining camp and needs to find gold somewhere.
Javelin numbers are starting to build up, but it's still only 4 javelin to 18 archers right now. It's not going to be enough. Now the villagers are coming forward. That wooden fortress is going to go up.
Yeah, archer number, it climbed up so fast, and the javs, they're only at 5, and Anotand has more knights than javelins, more archers than Donzo by double, and this is looking like Anatand's practice is paying off here, as this all-in is not one to be taken lightly.
Safari Warrior also getting sniped here. Wooden fortress starting to get finished, already halfway there. Knights in position as well. Javelin throws. Have to be careful here. He put the Donzos inside of the TC.
Scout does end up falling for Anotand, but he's just making sure to protect his villagers, making sure not to overstep. He's sending some units around to the other side, making sure to check the gold, and right as DeMu moves out for the gold, it's spotted out by the knight as well. Anotand, he's everywhere that he needs to be, and now all of these houses get denied. There's literally 0 gold income for DeMu once those houses go down, once those pit mines go down.
He's gonna get pop capped. DeMu's at 68, 8 out of 70, and now the houses are starting to burn. 70 out of 70. 70 out of 65. 70 out of 60. No additional units are coming out right now.
Yeah, DeMu, he's not able to hold this. He has to look at, you can see how big of an importance this gold is. He has to send his whole unit mass up to this north side, try to kill this one single knight. Anotand sees this now, and if I'm Anotand, I probably just dive into DeMu's base.
He's just gonna take down the remaining houses here. That's gonna hurt a lot. Now Siege Engineering coming in as well.
And it's so easy for Roos to drop so many rams so fast with that extra wood income. He's got 1,000 wood per minute. Just idle your archer production for a minute, not even, and you're gonna have 3-4 rams in the bank. And now we're starting to see that mass transition around to a different spot. Knights are starting to circle, and DeMu, he's gonna be losing vills in a flurry.
He's not paying attention yet. Oh god, loses 3 villagers there. Almost lost 2 more. This is being so well played right now by Anotand. He's doing such a great job of just being everywhere right now, focusing all the correct spots. So many archers still on the field. Right now, though, I think DeMu's army could potentially take a fight, just as Anotand is looking to punish the gold expansion here.
Think about what Anotand's been doing behind this. He has so many fishing boats, has full control of the river, is back on the wood line, diving the wood line again. More villagers falling, and the wooden fortress still secures the other 2 gold locations.
God, that's a lot of archers, but DeMu should, in theory, have enough there to fight that. He's falling back. He's actually trying to go up to Castle Age behind this.
I mean, I don't know how. He has the cows to have that Castle Age pay off, but it's just even still, once Castle Age happens, how do you get upgrades? Your gold is still so denied, and you're spending so many resources on castle.
It is really, really rough for him right now, but now Grand Fulani Corral is going to be coming in. Look at that, was actually just faking out with the villagers walking back, now walks back to the gold again.
Stepping on forward. This is such a far gold, though. His whole base is just kind of left out to dry, left out thin. Anotand's still burning some houses with some knights. I would have loved to just see...
The woodline. The knights, they're coming back. They're coming back for the woodline.
They're not only coming back from the woodline, they could see the Grand Fulani. They could take down some villagers there as well. They just run right by, though. No, they hit the mill. Oh.
And the woodline.
There it is. Some more charges on the woodline. 3 immediately go down. And DeMu, he's at 39 villagers, 10 minutes into an Empire Wars game.
Compared to 68 eco units right now from Anotand. Look at that, Anotand. He's just gonna go up as well. He just bought some food with the tickets that he had. Now he's lacking gold, though. He bought them, and now he's lacking the gold to go up. Okay.
I think he got a little too excited. One of those you clicked it one too many times, and you're like, oh, I fat-fingered it one extra time, but it won't take him but a little bit of time. And, I mean, 16 knights right now. He's 16 knights.
There we go. High trade house coming in now. It's going to also give him a lot of gold continuously.
Yeah, easy relics to secure.
The stealth forest. Yeah, there's 6 relics on this map as well that he potentially could get.
Yeah, there was that update when everyone was complaining about, you know, HRE mirrors used to be in abundance on this map, and it was always a complaint where that 5th relic was. And then to solve that, they just said, all right, we're going to make it even relics on each side. DeMu, though, he's moving forward. He's trying to get some damage down on Anotand's base as he has been castle for a little bit, but there's not really...
DeMu. The gold mine, the big gold mine on top side, the knights.
Anotand, though, distracted a little bit elsewhere. DeMu is able to pull back here, but the knights are also on the wood line again. Anotand, he's everywhere.
absolutely everywhere. Look at that. So much damage coming in. DeMu already lost 16 villagers this game. And idling out a couple of villagers right now himself. And behind this, I mean, his base is still very tough to push into while there's 60 archers out.
Yeah, this is one of those that Anotand, he just waits for his upgrades to come through. He plays this patiently, and then he's still continuing to mass. He brings back those knights that were forward as well, and you just collapse on DeMu's army and finish it off, and then go for the throat right after.
DeMu, he's also making some Musafati warriors now, but all of these reinforcements, it's hard for them to get all the way across to his main army. He's just killing houses right now. He said, "You killed my houses? Well, I can do that too." But it's 108 pop right now to 150. And now the army's gonna start collapsing here.
Yep, archer upgrade just now about to finish. Donzos are split off to the right. They can't really step up. If they do, the archer fire is just shredding them. And the Donzo number, it's just disappearing. The javelins, though, they're doing a decent job kiting back. Knights not in the greatest positioning. And it's about to be archers versus javs, but more knights coming to the front side. And DeMu, he's got no reinforcements here. Those javelins left out to dry and will get cleaned up.
Yeah, the Javelin's not gonna be here for long. Some knights, I think at least 1 or 2 knights could still go down here for Anotand if DeMu micros them. And there we go. That's about the most value you can get out of that, but right now, army value, 4,500.
There it is. There's 2 more low health knights. I think he just ended up being able to pick up 1. But Anotand now has 60 archers. And how does DeMu hold his base against 60 archers? There's still some villagers here. Decided to back on away. The wooden fortress will get burnt down in just a second, and gold has been reclaimed, at least for now.
Yeah, this is not gonna work for long because it's 63 archers about to make their way over to DeMu's base, and there's no siege out right now for DeMu. And if DeMu thinks right now that he has the superior economy, the superior food economy with the Grand Falani Corral, think about it twice, because Anotand, he has had the fishing all this time. His food economy is in no way inferior.
Yeah, he's never having to make that transition. That's always one of the huge benefits about Mali with that Grand Falani, with the investments into cows. It gets to a point where your opponent has to transition into farms or granaries or whatever, and Anotand won't have to do that with all the fishing. He's even got a demo here just in case DeMu steps on up, the Knights holding those Donzos hostage, and Anotand looks to just close out the game and close out the series. He's diving in for the last fight. Knights closing the gap, going for just any units they can find. Don't care if they're Donzo, don't care if they're Javelins, because he just wants DeMu to have to turn and take this fight.
Like that, DeMu has to fall back with everything he has. He has 6 sofas still in the queue. Our 6 sofa is going to be enough against this onslaught of units that's coming in here. Anton, he's running all the way into the base from DeMu.
And this is a sight that's not too shocking to see from Anotand. Just all of the units in front of his opponent's TC. Knights taking the fight, archers taking the fight. Any unit that pops out, any villagers that pops out will just get slaughtered. Other knights are on the wood line. And DeMu, his military numbers, they've just continued to fall. His villagers, they're falling as well. And he will be going down with them.
Man, that is absolutely insane. Anotand, even though the seeds are similar, Anton probably still considered a little bit of an underdog here. But look at that. 20 games of Empire Wars a day. And this is what you get. Anton actually taking down DeMu here in the playoffs. 3-1.
I just felt like he had too much tempo. He pressured it. He had these timings that DeMu didn't respect, and he just was all over the map, all over the place, and DeMu was never able to stabilize with this Mali cow boom. 57-2 on the military count. Anotand has more military than DeMu has population.
Yeah, it's over. At this point, it's over. The question is just going to be when DeMu is going to be tapping out. But yeah, this was a rough one. This was a rough one, but so well played from Anotand here. So well played. And I feel like DeMu, he just went a little bit too greedy, right? He invested a little bit too much into cattle, into the cattle ranches. And there we go. DeMu calls it 3-1. Our first set of the day. Anotand is the victor.
Wow, what an exciting first series. First game went over to DeMu, but from there, Anotand, he just kept striking back time after time and made it look pretty clean, pretty easy after that first loss.